of the United States of America. In Jesus' name, amen.
And now please rise. As you are able, remove your hats and veterans render a hand salute as the Military District of Washington Joint Armed Forces Color Guard presents our nation's colors.
Colors, present arms!
To honor America with the singing of our national anthem, please welcome from the United States Air Force Band Singing Sergeants, Technical Sergeant Michael J. Aiello.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
One. There we go.
Thank you. I got you.
So What a scene for this, the biggest day of any stock car racing year, and even bigger, with a sitting president coming to the Daytona 500 for only the third time in history. 43 different men have won the 500. 8 are in today's race, and one is standing right alongside me. That's Kevin Harvick. Clint Boyer has finished 4th in the great race twice. What a day. How big can it get?
It doesn't get any bigger. This is the biggest race of their lives. The Daytona 500 is it for our sport. The buildup, the hype, everything, the energy is blowing through these guys' veins like fire, like wildfire. You got the president on the ground, the Thunderbirds flying overhead. Daytona has America on display.
Well, hold on, Clint, because all that hype is usually what causes one of those early cautions. As a driver, you have to take a deep breath. You have to focus on what you're supposed to be doing, because everything that's happening down there can be very overwhelming. So it's a big moment. Still makes the hair on my arm stand up, and I can't wait.
Well, the fear is the big one, and that is the big accident. We've had several all through the week, this week already in the qualifying races on Thursday. And our stat boys put together that the danger zone is from 5th to 30th. You need to be in front of that or behind that.
That's a pretty big zone.
I was going to say,
it is.
Typical stat guys there. Let's narrow it down a little bit. But I don't think there's a safe place, and I think that their stats are right. I think as you are leading this race, getting those pushes is super important. And with this car, those pushes have become more and more aggressive as we get towards the end of the race. And ultimately, that's going to result in a wreck. There's just no way around it.
That's the inevitable. And the biggest thing is there's no way. Everybody thinks they can look into a crystal ball and this is the lap they're going to wreck, or this is the situation that's going to happen. You don't know. You have to go out there, put yourself in position, just like last year's William Byron, right? He was the one that got turned into the guy leading the race and wiped them all out, ultimately leading him to win the Great American Race. That can happen. It can happen to anybody in this race today.
Well, we saw the president there talking with the king, stock car racing's king, Richard Petty, and with Greg Biffle, who led a fleet of helicopters doing relief in western North Carolina after the hurricanes there. Biff's going to get a selfie with the president. What a nice memento of that trip to Daytona. So, who will set the pace today, and how fast a pace will it be?
Well, I think in the beginning it's going to be a fast pace, and I think for the drivers, the big thing that you have to do starting this race is get used to the pace of the field with all the cars in it. That pace will be a lot different than what you practiced with. It'll be a lot different than what you had in the duels, and you have to be able to readjust yourself to the way that things are happening and still calm down.
Yeah, to your point, Kevin, you have to remember the duels, half the field. None of these cars on the racetrack has had the speed, had the downforce, or lack of downforce under what they're going to feel for the whole field of 40 cars to be out there. The pace picks up, grip level goes down.
Toyota on the pole for the first time ever in the history of the 500. Chase Briscoe will lead them to green. Will he stay there, and for how long?
Well, that's a good question. I think as this thing starts to play out, all those circumstances start to change. But Chase Briscoe is in the opportunity of his life in that 19 car. We saw that car have so much success through the years with Martin Truex Jr. But I believe that when you have a driver and a crew chief that are as motivated as Chase Briscoe and James Small, great things are going to happen for this 19 car. But today, you have to be able to control the race as long as you can, and that is hard to do here.
Well, as we saw the Penske camp do it in the second duel, how do you do that? You do it with teammates like Denny Hamlin, 3-time champion of the Daytona 500. But you heard me talk about Logano. Him and Austin Cindric worked so well together in duel number 2. It was amazing, the whale of a job that they did to get Cindric the win.
Christopher Bell often flies under the radar, but boy, he and Kyle Larson competed all last season for the most wins.
Well, he's soon, over the next few years, will become the leader of Joe Gibbs Racing, so it'll be great to see him do what he does inside the car today.
Bubba Wallace, a winner on Thursday night. All right, let's go trackside with Jamie Little.
Well, I'm joined now by the President of the United States. Mr. President, 5 years ago, we were standing in this very spot. What brings you back to the Great American Race?
Well, I think it's fantastic. It's great for the country. Our country is doing well again, and we have spirit all over the world. There's spirit again. We brought it back, and it's been less than 4 weeks. So you'll see what we do in a little period of time. It's going to only get better, but this is very exciting.
You brought your granddaughter. I know some of your other family members are here. You get to take a ride around in the Beast. What is that like?
I'll let you know in about 2 minutes, because they're going to be going quite quickly, I understand.
And you just got to meet some of the drivers. Are you going to get on the radio again and talk to them before the start of this?
And I say they have a lot of courage doing this. I see it, and I've been here, and they have a lot of guts, as they would say.
Mr. President, enjoy your time.
Thank you very much. Great.
Bye.
Thank you, Jamie. What a day in Daytona. The 67th annual Daytona 500 at the ready. Rain perhaps on the way, so we'll be racing to get past halfway just as quickly as possible here. 41 cars, drivers from 4 countries, most of them NASCAR Cup Series regulars, getting ready to flip the switch and race into history. Let's go trackside for the command.
Daytona International Speedway. Here to give the command to fire engines from Marvel Studios' Captain America: Brave New World, now in theaters. Please welcome Captain America himself, Anthony Mackie.
Drivers, start your engines!
200 laps, destiny awaits. Perhaps one of these drivers to hoist the Harley Earl Trophy in Daytona Victory Lane. At the ready, plus the presidential limousine is going to take a lap or two here before the start of this Daytona 500. Teddy Roosevelt may well have been the first American president to ride in an automobile or drive one, but the first to embrace auto racing was Richard Nixon, who was taking off from California and at a low level flew over Ontario Motor Speedway, where there was a huge crowd. Nixon wanted to land the plane and see what was going on. The Secret Service said no, but he did host a reception for all of auto racing at the White House. The president who most embraced stock car racing, though, was Jimmy Carter. The Georgia native was Grand Marshal at Atlanta when he was governor. Alf Knight, the track superintendent there, was one of his closest confidants. And Carter hosted a reception just for stock car racing at the White House. Of course, he was at Camp David conducting the peace accords, so Rosalind hosted the sports greats. You saw Ronald Reagan, who gave a command to start the Daytona 500 from Air Force One, and was here for Richard Petty's 200th victory in July of 1984. George Bush was here in 1983 as vice president. Bill Clinton campaigned at Darlington Raceway. George W. Bush attended several races, including this one in 2004. And this is President Trump's second trip to the Great American Race. The Thunderbirds with an encore flyover. And the procession of pre-race at the ready.
There's nothing like it, guys. Such a display. Power.
Before he climbed aboard, the pole sitter visited with Regan Smith.
Chase Briscoe getting set to lead the field to green in the Daytona 500. Your first race for Joe Gibbs Racing. How do you control the adrenaline of the moment and focus on 500 miles?
Yeah, of all the races to qualify on the pole, this is definitely the one. So yeah, adrenaline's pumping. This is the biggest race of our year. So have a really fast Bass Pro Shops Toyota. We start up front, just got to try to finish up front now.
Thanks, Chase.
All right, drivers, you're alone.
Finally.
The window net is up. No more meet and greets, no more handshakes, no more selfies. You are in your happy place. What's going through your mind right now?
Finally, like Clint said, finally you're in the car and you're able to focus on the things that you need to focus on. It's quiet inside the car. You'll have the engine shut off right now as they try to decide when they're going to roll off the pit road here. We get an air show over the top, so you're trying to watch the airplanes flying by. But it's the best time of the race because you're finally in the car and everything is peaceful.
I know you're not going to believe this, but this is the time I close my eyes and I think about the plan. I think about my teammates. I think about the situational awareness where I need to be, when my spotter's talking, when he says hi, when he says clear. That means now. Do not delay. Do not halter. If you do, you will be the wreck. You have to put all the pieces together. They have to be perfect to win this great American race.
Well, the presidential motorcade begins to roll out. They will do 2 laps. Then the fleet of dignitaries in the Chevy pace cars, and then our 41-car field, largest Daytona 500 starting field in several years because of the addition of a provisional spot reserved for a driver outside of NASCAR, but with world-class credentials. The team had to apply for that more than 90 days in advance. Team Trackhouse did, and Emilio Castroneves, the 4-time Indy winner and 3-time Rolex 24-hour race winner, has that provisional start in 41st position.
They're rolling, guys.
Well, and this is where it all starts, Clint. I mean, right here. You got to make sure you start dotting the I's and crossing the T's to get your job done, prepping for pit road, making sure everything's functioning correctly. You've gone through your belts and everything as a driver, and now you roll off through that checklist and make sure that you're ready to go.
It's not every day you get a president to be the pace car and lead the field to green. That's pretty cool.
I always felt like when the president showed up at the race and was able to attend the Daytona 500, it just took things to another level. Everybody from the sponsorship side of things is already here, but when that president of the United States is leading you around on the pace laps, you know this means something.
That heavily armored limousine weighs approximately 22,000 pounds. No official figures are given. And its top speed is a well-kept secret.
Well, they're going to need it. They're going to need all they can get if he gets up on the high banks, 31 degrees at Daytona. You heard him. The man said himself, they tell me it's going to be fast, so I better get in, buckle up.
Now, in a regular street car, you need to drive 65 miles an hour or more just to stay up on the banking. Otherwise, its steepness will kind of spit you down and out.
Honestly, when I give rides around Daytona, places like here in Talladega, my favorite thing to do is actually slow them down. Let them feel that. They get really nervous thinking the car is going to flip over at slow speed. At high speed, when these guys get up upwards 200 mile an hour, believe it or not, you don't even feel the bank, do you, Kevin?
No, and when you're going slow like that, it feels like the car is actually going to spin out the wrong way down the hill.
Or flip over.
Yeah, or flip over, one or the other.
Toyotas, Fords, and Chevrolets fill the field. As this lap is recorded for posterity. Into the back straightaway, nearly 3,000 feet of asphalt ribbon. And then they bank sharply up into the 31-degree banking of turn number 3, something the limousine will not attempt today.
Well, you know, we got to dissect. We're racers. I don't know about the air pressures. What do you think they're running in that thing? You think they're at minimums? You think they're down a little bit? I mean, we got to find an edge somewhere.
Well, the thing that they're going to find an edge at is what these 2 extra pace laps mean. And that'll immediately spin the crew chiefs and engineers out into a different cycle of strategy. So I hate to tell you,
I'm trying to have some fun here. Now you're going right down to the fun police has arrived, and we're down to the details already. He's worried about fuel mileage, already complaining about fuel mileage. I love it.
Well, we actually want to win the race, Clint, right?
Man,
we don't want to just be in it.
I want to be.
We want to win
the show and win the race. That's a long ways from now.
All right, here comes the field off turn number 4, behind the presidential motorcade. Oftentimes the series director for NASCAR will address the drivers, but the next voice you hear will be the President of the United States.
Mr. President, thank you for joining us to get this year's Great American Race, the Daytona 500 started. The radio is yours, sir. President, the radio is yours.
This is your favorite president. I'm a big fan. I am a really big fan of you people that you do this. I don't know, but I just want you to be safe. You're talented people, and you're great people and great Americans. Have a good day. Have a lot of fun, and I'll see you later.
Once the ceremonial pace laps are finished, the president will retire to a VIP suite to watch at least the first stage of today's race. It was a great sight to see all the folks in the stands jumping up, grabbing phones, grabbing cameras as Air Force One did a flyby of the speedway before landing.
You know, we're very fortunate, Kevin, you and I, this sport's given us everything in our lives. Very fortunate to have a sport that somebody as powerful as the President of the United States of America wants to come and be a part of it, be present. Means a lot to the sport of NASCAR and everybody involved.
It does mean a lot, and I've been fortunate to go to the White House and meet with several presidents, and Donald Trump has been so good to the sport, being and attending events, the Daytona 500 twice now, so it's a great sight to see.
All right, the motorcade heads for pit road. They will not be stopping for tires and fuel.
No fuel.
And away from Donald Trump, President of the United States, to send the field on its way.
Cool stuff.
And with that, let's have a look at the starting lineup for the 67th Daytona 500. Indiana's Chase Briscoe, first Toyota ever to win the pole for the 500, with Austin Cindric, the 2022 winner of this race. They have the front row. Row number 2, Bubba Wallace, a two-time runner-up who won his dual race Thursday night, and Eric Jones making his best Daytona 500 start.
Let's dial up Bubba Wallace. Bubba Wallace, Kevin, and the guys up in the Fox booth. A lot of hype here, buddy. How do you keep yourself calm, and what do you think we're in store for at the beginning of this race?
Yeah, Kevin, I mean, you've done it. It's the biggest race of the season, and this is the most relaxed I've been out of my 8th start here, so feel good about it. I feel like our McDonald's team and this whole Toyota Camry is really, really fast. Was able to show that on Thursday, but now it's time for the real test here. I think the start, it's a big fuel-saving game now. That's all we talk about in our meetings is how can we capitalize on fuel saving and keep the lead, which is damn near impossible. So we'll see what happens. It's all in all, let's have a good day and go get us one finally.
All right, well, I appreciate you talking about fuel already. My partner just left the booth because that's what I was talking about as well.
Tell him my
Good luck, man.
I appreciate it, brother. Have fun.
All right, row 3, we got William Byron, defending Daytona 500 champion on his outside. Chris Buescher, keep an eye on him, Daytona winner in August. Also, row 4, Ty Dillon, Pride of Welcome, North Carolina, and 3-time Daytona champion Denny Hamlin.
Row 5, we've got Ross Chastain, the only Florida driver in the field, and Joey Logano, 3-time champ.
Let's dial up, oh Joey Logano. How about you, Joey Logano? Boyer and the boys up in the booth.
Yeah, what's happening?
You're happening, buddy. Daytona 500. We've got the president here. Thunderbirds in the air. You got to be just jumping to get out here and get started. Tell me about your car. I loved what you guys had. It's teamwork in the Penske duel #2 with you and Cindric.
Yeah, like with what we got going on here, we got a really cool looking Shell Pencil Mustang with the collaboration with the IndyCar stuff with it, Joseph Newgard and his Indy 500 win. So we want to make this thing up front, end up there. I think we got a good piece. We got a great team and a great car, so we just got to go do our jobs now.
All right, man. Good luck out there. Do your thing.
All right, row number 6, Tyler Reddick with 3 wins last year, and Corey LaJoie making one of his few starts this year.
All right, row number 7, you got A.J. Allmendinger, finished top 10 in his last 4 starts at Daytona 500. On his outside, Todd Gilliland, best Daytona 500 start.
Row 8, we've got Austin Dillon from Welcome, North Carolina, and Ryan Blaney, our 2023 champ.
Row 9, 2020 Cup champ Chase Elliott and John Hunter Nemechek. Jamie?
Mike, 7-time most popular driver Chase Elliott is entering his 10th Daytona 500. This is the one. This is the trophy that has eluded him. Now, he starts mid-pack today, but they tell me the plan is to get to the front as quickly as possible. He also said he was very comfortable being aggressive in practice. So watch for that 9 car to go to the front. They feel like they have a car capable of winning.
Row 10, Xfinity champ Justin Allgaier driving for Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Christopher Bell, who's finished 3rd in this race both of the last 2 years. Regan?
Like Christopher Bell is a part of new generation Cup Series superstars, willing to drive anything, anytime, anywhere, and win while doing it. Last year, statistically speaking, a career year for Christopher Bell. 3 wins, and as you just mentioned, a 3rd place runner-up or 3rd place finish in the Daytona 500. That has him coming into today confident that today is the day he puts his name on the Harley J. Earl Trophy.
Row 11, Kyle Busch, 2-time Cup champion. This is his 20th try at the Daytona 500. And Kyle Larson, who's won nearly everything in the Cup Series except this. Josh?
Well, there is no doubt Kyle Larson is one of the best drivers on the planet. He's won races in a number of different disciplines in motorsports, but the 2021 Cup champ has yet to win the Daytona 500. 0-11 in the Great American Race, 0-21 here at Daytona. But talking to Kyle, his confidence isn't shaken. He said he's led late in this race. He's put himself in position. It's just about executing when he gets that shot, so there's no need to change. His crew chief Cliff Daniels says, hey, it's not a matter of if, but when he wins this race.
Row 12, we've got making his 3rd start, Ty Gibbs, and Rookie of the Year contender, Riley Herbst. Row 13, we've got 2021 Daytona 500 winner, Michael McDowell, and making his 1st Daytona 500 start, Shane Van Gisbergen.
All right, row number 14, Ryan Preece, new RFK driver. Keep an eye on the number 60. On his outside, Cody Ware in a 51 car. Row 15, pride of the Wood brothers, that's right. Number 21, Josh Berry. On his outside, number 41, Cole Custer.
Ricky Stenhouse, Noah Gregson in row number 16. Row 17, Carson Hocevar and Brad Keselowski.
Row 18 is Justin Haley and Daniel Suarez.
Row 19, Zane Smith and Alex Bowman.
Back in the 20th row, a couple of Cup champs, Martin Truex and Jimmy Johnson, and Helio Castroneves with the provisional starting spot, 41st. Now let's take a closer look at the science of drafting with our crew chief, Larry McReynolds.
Yeah, Mike, these drivers are going to be running over 180 miles per hour for 200 laps or 500 miles. But the way you can max out speed is the draft with cars lined up nose to tail. Let's go to our Toyota Cutaway car and show you about the draft. This is a single car in race mode running wide open. Notice how the airflow goes across the car. Max downforce, but it hurts the speed of the car, 180 miles per hour. I want to bring in a second car that's going to line up behind it. Notice how the airflow changes. These 2 cars almost become like one unit, a gain of 3 to 4 miles per hour. I'm going to add one more car, a 3rd car, and I want you to notice when it pulls up to the tail of the 2nd car, how the airflow starts at the nose of the lead car all the way to the back of the trail car Another 3 or 4 miles per hour, 186 miles per hour. Optimum is 7 cars lined up. That's about over 190 miles per hour. But if we can get the whole pack organized, guys, that's well over 190. But one factor today, wind gust up to 30 miles per hour. It'll be like an airplane, a tailwind down the backstretch.
Well, and Larry talked about 7 cars being the maximum number of cars that you really want if you're by yourself making those green flag pit stops. And that's what we're going to talk about all day. How do we get organized and how do we make our line run the fastest?
Busch Lights giving away 1 Ultimate Tailgating Package for 1 Ultimate fan and more big prizes throughout today's race. Follow @BuschBeer on X and comment using hashtag #BuschNumber1Fan, hashtag sweepstakes during every lap that ends in a 1 for your chance to win.
Look at these fans get on their feet, Kevin.
The Chevrolet Blazer EV SS leads the field out of turn number 4. It heads for pit road. Fans on their feet. Sellout crowd in Daytona for the 67th annual 500. The Wood Brothers family, racing Fords and NASCAR since 1949, wave the green flag, and we're underway.
As they build this energy, you talked about it earlier, Kevin. First time any of these guys have felt all 40 cars being out there. A lot more speed, a lot more, the pushing, everything, all the runs, the blocks, everything happens a lot faster when everybody's out.
Yeah, and you know, the experienced guys and guys that have had good talks with their team, they're going to take their time a little bit right here. But I don't think you want to wait too long. I think you want to put yourself in as good a position as possible. If you're at the front half of this field, if you're at the second half of this field, you're going to immediately go into how much fuel can I save, because the guys up front are the ones that have the track position, and you're not going to get it. So you might as well start trying to accomplish something in the second half of this field.
Now 10 drivers had to start at the rear due to either unapproved adjustments, backup cars, or engine changes. They are Larson, Gibbs, Herbst, Van Gisbergen, Stenhouse, Keselowski, Haley, Suarez, Bowman, and Castroneves.
On board the Wendy's cam here with Helio Castroneves, and he's had a tough week here, Clint.
He has, but he's back out there. Those guys did a whale of a job rebuilding that car. That is not a backup car. They completely rebuilt, new front clip. I mean, that thing from front to rear is a brand new race car. These guys did a good job getting him back. These guys are going to go into fuel savings mode, and watching this race back last year, Ross Chastain was the first one to jump on that outside and drove. As soon as they did, they slowed that pace up. He drove all the way to the front and found the track position that he needed.
You came down here to run 195 miles an hour. Why are you saving gas?
Because you came down here to get a trophy, and that happens at the end of the race. How do you get to the end of the race? Right here in fuel savings mode.
Yeah, and you see right here, you know, you're running 50-60% throttle. A lot of times, you know, you'll be able to trail that throttle back to 50-40-50% down the straightaway. But what's going to happen here is at some point, these guys in the second half of the field are going to get frustrated, and then they're going to say, okay, I'm going to take advantage of these guys while they're trying to save fuel, and I'm going to get some track position. So you're going to see that game start to be played at some point. But the ultimate goal in this situation is, how do I make the shortest pit stop?
Tell me why you wouldn't go to the front and lead this pack right now.
I think you have to somewhat stay in that fuel window with everybody else.
And how do you do that better than the guys at the front?
Well, if you use more fuel at the beginning of this race and have to make a longer pit stop, you're going to lose the track position anyway.
And when you're back there in the back, that draft, that magnificent draft that all these 40 cars push, that hole in the air that Larry showed you with the Toyota cutaway car, that enables those guys in the back to use less fuel because they're just literally pulled along in that airflow.
Yeah, and this is not easy. I think as drivers, you have a lot of responsibility, and your teams have to see the savings and the things that are going on. But in the middle of the pack especially, you start to get that accordion effect and have the, you know, if you're not paying attention, can run into the back of somebody pretty easy.
leaders off the spoiler cam of William Byron, Chase Briscoe alongside. Chevy and Toyota. Byron, last year's winner of the 500 in a backup car. Now, one car has lost the draft off the pace, is last year's Rookie of the Year, Carson Hocevar. Fuel pressure issue.
Losing his health, the one still has that 19 trouble.
Yeah, and we saw that car not practice yesterday, Clint. That's a very good reason to be able to make the argument for that last practice yesterday. Speaking of Carson Hocevar.
Larry Mack.
Yeah, let's take a look at our Craftsman tools of the race. This would be for the drivers. No mistakes on pit road, especially on the green, getting on the pit road, getting off. We saw a lot of mistakes in the dual races on Thursday night. Know when to push and when not to. One bad push at the wrong time can cause the big one. I would tell all my drivers this, including a man named Earnhardt. We can't win this race in the first 150 laps, but we can flat lose it if we get in trouble.
All right, the third lane has formed up. Thanks, Larry. Michael McDowell was the first to jump out there and create a third lane, trying to get those cars to the front. Joey Logano on the outside in his Ford.
Well, here they come. There you see that teammate. There's the pairing that I was talking about. The teamwork of Joey Logano and his teammate Austin Cindric. Lights out in that second duel Thursday night. You see him heading to the front, outside coming.
Yeah, and that'll put 3 Fords in a row in line on that top row, and you start to see some of that strategy with some of these team cars getting together.
6 laps complete at the Daytona 500. William Byron, your leader. As we take you, Fox, side by side. Welcome back to the Daytona 500 on Fox. Sprinkling in turn 2 has put us under caution at lap 10. With William Byron leading from Austin Cindric, Ty Dillon, Chase Briscoe, and Joey Logano. All 3 makes. Chevy, Toyota, and Ford represented there in the top 5.
Well, we just heard him on the radio say, let's go hard until the rain starts to fall, and it fell quicker than most of them had anticipated.